talking about today, which is chest, one of the most highly asked videos to do. One of my favorite ones to coach, but there's a lot of things that people do when it comes in terms of chest that we can just switch a couple things and make that more optimal. I find a lot of people ask range of motion. If you can flex your chest, right? Flex your chest like this. Now I want you to make sure your shoulders stay back, rolling back and down, remember engaging your lats. And I want you to just flex your chest here, okay? Now I want you to open your hands up a bit and bend your arms, and we're gonna flex your chest here. Yep, can still do it. Gonna go back a little further, and I can still do it. Now I can see my arms are 90 degrees here. I'm flexing my chest, and they're still flexing. I go down a little more. I can still flex my chest out. As you can see, my chest is about, my arms are maybe about 3 to 4 inches from my chest, and then I go down a little more, and I can't flex my chest. Right? Now, right now it'll be equivalent to me having the bar on my chest. The bars on my chest, I can't flex my chest anymore. Now, when I do this and try to flex my chest, I get activation in my back because everything's pulled back. We're looking at range of motion. We want to keep the load on the chest at all times. You should never feel your shoulders during chest. If you finish a chest workout and you're like, man, my shoulders is killing me, you are doing the chest workout completely wrong. Make sure that the load stays on the chest, which means if I get down to here and I can flex my chest, that means when I flex my chest, that contraction stays on my chest. From here, if I gotta go back here, I can no longer flex my chest, and now everything's on my shoulders, and I gotta kind of do one of these things and push it up. That's where we have problems. So range of motion, if you're not a power lifter or in a sport where you're getting tested for repetitions, the purpose of touching your chest is so they have an actual designated place for you to go, range of motion for everybody, so it's fair. If we said go 2 inches above your chest during a powerlifting meet, there'd be too much cheating. So having a place where you have to pause in your chest and push, that's for purposes for that sport. But if you're just training for aesthetics and you just want to like look really good and you want your chest to be nice and big and swole and everything else, your range of motion only needs to come back down to where the load stays on the chest, where you can still flex your chest. You want to be able to do this with added weight. Remember, when we're working out lifting weights, we are just adding a load to a movement. Understanding what the chest actually does gives us a better understanding of what exercise to do to help aid our weak chest to get better. In my terms, basically, my weak chest. Could be your weak chest. But it's a muscle group that everybody wants to get bigger. Everybody wants a nice big Arnold chest. You'll only get the chest that your genetics give you. Yes, the genetics can give you whatever chest you have, but it will only get as big as your body will allow. It'll only have the shape that your body will allow. So if I work out as hard as I can, I'm not going to get an Arnold chest. I don't have the genetics like he had, this big pigeon chest and everything else. Those aren't my genetics. My genetics gave me a strong chest here and basically no chest up here. So I have to really work on my pectoral minor. So we're gonna go over certain heads of your chest. So we have 3 different heads. So we have our pectoral major clavicle head. So it basically attaches right into our sternum, our clavicle here, top of the chest, clavicle, and then to our humerus. Then we have our pectoral major sternal head. Basically, that is the bigger part of your chest that connects more so into your sternum, and then it wraps up to your humerus. And then we have our pectoral major costal head, basically the one down here. So if you see people that are really lean and they got this like kind of like little weird line that sits at the bottom of their chest when they flex, that's part of the chest that connects to your intercostal, so your bottom part of your rib, your sternum, sorry, and then also connects to your humerus. So every part of your chest connects to here to manipulate its movement. So if you're looking at your pectoral major clavicle head, we're looking at most of the movements that come from here when it comes to horizontal adduction. Our pectoral major, sternal head, same idea, but it's pulling more so down this way. And then our pectoral major sternal head is here. So if you're thinking about any kind of movement where you're pulling down this way, you're gonna affect this here. If you're looking at, say, pulling dumbbell pullovers, those hit your back and your chest because it's helping pull it over, that muscle here. So understanding that those regions of the chest are gonna give us a better understanding of what exercises do I need to do to make my chest better. Now that we have an understanding of what the chest does, let's look at obviously one of our biggest helps when it comes to chest, and that is our tricep. Our tricep's main function is elbow extension. That's all it does. So if you put these two muscles together, you have shoulder adduction, and then you have elbow extension, which causes this to go in here and push here. So what do I feel is the best exercise overall? Okay, so I might get just probably killed on this one, but from my experience and my research when it comes to your body, and we're talking about pure aesthetics. I'm a bodybuilder, I'm talking about aesthetics, okay? When it comes to training chest overall, I believe that doing the incline press is your best bet. Now, dumbbell, barbell machine, for those who are beginners, get yourself in the machine so you can kind of feel your muscle move. You have to worry too much about stabilization. You can sit down in the machine and you can press. You can get yourself properly in, activate your lats, core, and push from there. Those who are more advanced, you can go to a barbell. Now, barbell is gonna keep yourself still basically even on both sides because you have a bar that's connected. You don't have to worry about two counterparts. You just have to worry about that one bar. Then as soon as we get into something a little more difficult, we're looking at dumbbells. Why? Because dumbbells, you have two different counterparts here where you have to control your chest unilaterally, which means that each side has to really focus on making sure that it does the same thing as both sides so we have the same stimulus and the same progress. And that's what comes to being very, very aware of what you're doing when it comes to training chest. So let's go over incline press. I'm gonna go over the incline press with the dumbbell. I'm gonna go over incline press with the barbell. Okay, so a lot of time when we bench, I feel that people forget that it's a full body workout. There's not an exercise we do that you're not using your whole body. Now I'm talking about using your whole body in terms of stabilization. One of the biggest things and tools we can use to help us be better overall lifters, the floor. People forget about the floor. And I see a lot of the mistakes happen starting from the ground. If you want to find the mistakes in a lot of people's lifting or techniques, look at the ground first. Look at your foundation. A strong house, a strong building has a strong foundation. A couple things I see a lot of time, you guys have seen it yourself too, is the tap dance. People get on the bar or the dumbbell and all of a sudden they're doing this kind of stuff. Legs they're doing the freaking sea walking when they're benching. It gets really hard, all of a sudden you see your feet start doing this. It sends like from the ground up. When you're not stable from here, you have instability in your core and everything else when you're doing this kind of stuff when you're lifting. Now, once we've got that part down, then we want to make a checklist. So making sure you make a checklist every time you sit on the bench. What we want to do is we want to sit down first. We want to make sure we plant our feet. Keep our feet strong on the floor. Then from there, we come back and continue into the press. So let's go step by step through this exercise. We're gonna do dumbbell incline press. I'm gonna give you exactly what I do when I coach my athletes when they're doing the press. And that's at every level, from a beginner all the way up until you're an pro athlete. We wanna plant our feet on the ground. Now these are, if your bench is too tall, get some plates put on your feet. You wanna make sure your feet are flat on the surface. We wanna be able to touch the ground so we can get that connection right from the floor and all the way up. So our feet are planted. Before I go back, I want to already engage my lats. So remember that cue I gave before is elbows in, pushing them down, right? Now my lats are engaged. So when I kind of fall back, my body is already ready in that position. So I'm not sitting and doing this kind of stuff before we start, right? I want to make sure that I'm already in place and ready to go. So when I sit back, my lats are already engaged, my core is engaged, my lats are engaged, my feet are on the floor, and I want to open up a bit from here, keeping my elbows still down. Now, I didn't come all the way up like this. That's when we have a lot of shoulder problems. So I want to open my elbows up, still pushing them down, right? Push them in the direction of my hips. So my lats stay engaged, open up a little bit of a V from here, and then we're gonna press and keep our shoulders down. So when you're pressing, I want you to imagine yourself pushing yourself into the ground. That's gonna keep my shoulders intact and back and depressed, instead of getting some of this, and you get that all the time, right? The reason why I say push yourself into the ground is you get that visualization of keeping everything straight when we push. So it keeps yourself pushing yourself into the ground. Now we also don't want to go and push like this. We want to understand we want to push with gravity. So bring those weights back. So we're pushing with gravity, a little bit of a bend in our elbows, and we're down, big chest, stopping right here, that 2 inches, and then pressing, keeping the load onto our chest. We don't have to come down here, and we don't have to touch. So again, when we're pressing, you don't want to have your body reaching for the weight. You want to press yourself back into the bench. You'll find yourself a lot more stable, firm, and strong with a better base and better leverage. You want to use the floor, the bench as leverage, as well as keeping your body totally stable, activated in your legs, in your glutes, in your core, in your lats, to keep your body completely almost like a plank, where then our chest and our triceps can do the work. Okay guys, so when we're looking at doing incline barbell press or any kind of barbell press, one of the biggest mistakes I see is where the pins are. Couple things you want to make sure is you want to have the pins in a place that when you unrack the weight, you don't have to reach your shoulders and have them kind of come out of that place of depression. You want to be able to keep your shoulders depressed while unracking the weight, and I'll show you. Another thing too is safety reasons. I don't care how strong you think you are. I don't give a rat's. If you're in a place where you don't have a spotter, put your safety pins down. You can't see it, but I got safety pins down here. Put them at a place where if things don't work out like you want them to, you're safe. The things we did back when I was in college is when we did squats or bench, we did them in a rack and we didn't have a spot. We made sure the safety pins were here so that it took the fear away from not being able to do the rep. If you couldn't do the rep, you simply just had to sit there on the pins when you couldn't get it up. So you didn't come into the bench scared that you weren't going to be able to get a certain weight. So again, when we're unracking the weight, you want to make sure that the pins are low enough that you don't have to take your shoulders out of depression, and you can simply just extend your arms and lift the weight and come off. So we'll go over that right now. Again, everything else stays the exact same when it comes in terms of fundamentals from the floor up. So again, making sure our feet are planted, making sure our glutes are activated, make sure our core is activated and strong and on, keeping us from being so hyperextended. Remember, a lot of these things that you see, hyperextension and the big curvature of their back, those are specific things in specific sports like powerlifting. So that isn't necessary for you to do when it comes to you just trying to get a bigger aesthetic chest. There's repercussions for certain techniques in certain sports. So playing football, basketball, baseball, hockey, you're gonna leave that sport with some kind of injury. It's inevitable. So when it comes to powerlifting, bodybuilding, same thing. So we want to stay far away from things that we don't need to do when we're just trying to look better. So we can keep our back completely straight. We don't have to have this crazy curvature in our back of hyperextension. That's gonna help us be more stable, so engage your core. Then from there, we want to engage our lats, keeping our shoulders depressed, and then we can continue to press. So we'll go over that right now. My glutes are on, core is activated. I'm not totally arched like this. The bar is right directly above me. My pins are low enough for me to be able to have my shoulders still regressed. I can grab my bar, pinch my shoulder blades, engage my lats, and all I'll do is extend my elbows, and then it comes off. I don't have to do this. So we want to avoid that. So we can do our press, coming down just about an inch above our chest, keep a load on our chest, and pushing back up. Remember, pushing ourselves into the ground. Then when we're finished, while I'm extended all the way, shoulders still depressed, I can just go and put it back like that. Instead of, we want to avoid doing this. We want to avoid that. A little exaggeration, but that's a common thing that I see all the time. Okay guys, that's it for Train With Me. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Chest today, going through all of what I coach my athletes to give to you guys as well. So if you guys are looking at developing a bigger, overall better chest at that top shelf part, where you can rest a nice, cup of, or a shake on your chest like Arnold or whatever, we want to do some incline pressing, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember guys, my channel is going to give you a lot of variety. You're going to get a lot of things like becoming lean and Greg.doucette. You're going to get some tutorials like this, like we're doing with Train With Me. You're going to get podcast stuff. You're going to get a lot of guests and collaborations. So stay tuned guys. I got a lot of stuff coming out. I wanted my channel to be something where I can just take the spaghetti, throw it at the wall, and see what sticks, and doing it for you guys. So again, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking out the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit the notification button so every time that I put out a video, you're the first one to get it. And again, for coaching, hardcore.training02@gmail.com. Website's coming soon. A lot of stuff coming in the works. Thanks guys, and until next time, keep dream chasing. Peace.